first league race of the summer, so I'm pretty excited, and thank you all for watching. Let's jump right in, and it starts pretty unfortunately. I basically slam my brakes and end up locking them, which causes me to spin and remain stationary. Not great at all, and starting in last place, probably a couple seconds off everyone. Not great. I thought it was going to be a pileup, but it is what it is, and I just have to move forward. And it's the first lap, so everyone's fighting and racing each other. So maybe I'm able to catch up, but I'm also not that fast compared to most of the guys in the league, and so it's not going to be easy necessarily to catch up. But I'm making up a lot of time, mostly because I'm probably the only guy on track that has a clear road in front of him, except for the folks at the top. So I'm able to catch up and get pretty close, and actually I'm able to send it on the inside of 35 and make it stick, as I think I just had a lot more speed coming out of the exit. So already made up a move there. So not a bad start to the race, but not terrible yet. And at this point I'm getting a little greedy, and that ends up making me go off. I thought I was going to be able to carry way too much speed into a light bulb there, and that kind of ruins the small amount of progress that I made up so far. So here we go, another lap, still in last place, still in square one. So yeah, let's see what happens. And everyone's even farther ahead now. Let's go on a lap of PGP. We start with a couple of long, sweeping, fast corners. The first turn is pretty difficult to get right. The second turn is a bit easier. And we go into a very classic hairpin here, turn 3, which you have to be very patient for. And as you guys can see, I do a pretty terrible job there, which makes me probably lose a lot of time, which isn't great. Turn 4 right here is a pretty hard braking zone, and it can be kind of sketchy going into some battles on that turn. 5 and 6 are pretty easy. For 6, you want to stay on the inside unless you're racing. And turn 7 leads us into the S's, which is one of my favorite parts of that track. It's very fast, and the S's end into top of the world, and we go straight into light bulb. One of the hardest corners in the track to take. You might have to switch your lineup depending on how much speed you're bringing into the corner, and if you're racing or not, and it's pretty hard. And the last couple turns here is what we call the roller coaster. It's kind of an elevation change that can be very scary to take at a near full speed when you're first starting out, and it's only recently I was able to really make some time up in those corners by just being a bit braver. Over the last lap, I was definitely able to get a bit closer, as you guys can see, but the lap time itself wasn't that fast, an 82.6 second lap, which is not that fast. The top of the field is probably lapping at around a 78, and I think my best time was an 81 and a few tenths. So I know I can go faster, so I just need to focus on actually putting in a good lap where I'm able to make probably a second up or so. And at this point I am up 9 tenths, so I'm feeling pretty good about this lap. The timer shows all green, and I'm pulling up to 29 in front of me, and she goes a bit wide, and I'm able to pull alongside her. I'm still not ahead, and I leave her as much space as I can to make sure that we don't hit each other, and I have to back out as we go into the roller coaster. She was ahead, and she was also on the racing line. I don't think that was my corner to take, and I think if I stuck my nose in there, it probably would have ended both of our races. So I decide, it's okay, let me just be a bit patient and try and get her over the next lap. And I'm a lot closer from the get-go on this lap, and as we go into turn 3, I know this is a turn that I can probably get in front, and she goes a bit wide. I'm able to pull alongside her, and I seemingly got the better exit as I pull ahead, but we run into some yellows, which kind of aids me in my overtake as I was on the inside and I was ahead, so it was probably my position to take. So even though we had to slow down, I was able to get the position and keep it going as I look forward and try and see if I can catch up to the few guys in front of me. As I'm going through light bulb, I'm looking down at the timer and I'm seeing all the red, which shows that probably due to the yellows, but also probably due to a little bit of racing at the beginning, I'm not going any faster than I was the previous lap, which isn't great. It means that I'm still a few seconds off the pace. I'm able to actually make some time up towards the end there, but still not doing well. But I know that there's lots of time around the track. I think my personal best up until this point was the mid 81 seconds range in one of the previous sessions. So I know I can go faster. I know I can go maybe even a second faster. So it's on me to really put that lap in. And this is probably the lap where I can try and put that lap in. I have a fair amount of space to the cart in front of me. No one else in my vicinity. I'm not racing anyone at the moment. So I just got to make sure I hit all my apexes, make sure I take all my lines correctly, at least from what I know, and try and put in the best lap that I can at the moment. This kart was a pretty good one. The tires felt decent, and I think by this point in the race, they're warmed up to the point where I have a decent amount of grip. So I should be able to really test and see what sort of limit that this kart might have. As we hit light bulb, I see all green, so I'm pretty excited on what this lap might bring me in terms of time. So I'm just focused on making sure the last few corners go well, make sure I don't screw up the roller coaster. The roller coaster is difficult to get right when you're initially learning how to go pretty fast around the track, because you feel kind of unstable as you go through it because you're supposed to carry a lot of speed. But I'm able to actually keep it together the last few corners and put in, at the time, what was my personal best in this direction of the track, an 81.3, which I was very happy with. So, and I made up a decent amount of time on the kart in front of me as well, which means that he was probably lapping in like the high 81s. So I know there's tenths that I can probably make up on him based on how close I've got to him, and I'm getting relatively close even through these corners, so maybe the move is there, and maybe the move is there pretty soon. And I'm also pretty consistently lapping with my personal best at the moment, which shows that I have gotten faster because that was my personal best, and I'm able to match that almost consistently in the next lap. Probably because the tires are at the same sort of temperature. We go into light bulb and I see an opportunity for a move as 35 goes a bit wide, so I pull alongside him. I'm ahead and I'm able to stay ahead even though I go wide enough to give him space. And I think I just had more exit speed, and as we go into roller coaster, I'm able to pull completely ahead. He backs out of the corner because he knows that I was ahead, and that was my racing line to take, and I'm able to make it stick, and we make up another position. So I'm very happy with that move. Learned a few lessons from my previous attempt, so was able to make that stick and keep a time that was very close to what my personal best was and what the past couple laps were, which shows that I think I was even a couple tenths ahead by the time I started racing there. So it shows that I can probably find more time, but I'm able to keep a consistent pace even while racing others. And so that I'm pretty delighted with, and right now I'm just trying to see how much time can I make up between me and the couple guys in front, because I know on paper they are definitely faster than me, at least by a few tenths, but visibly I'm catching up, which is great. Another thing I was keeping in mind was making sure I don't throw away the progress I'd made so far. P16 to P12 isn't an amazing result, but seeing where I started and the setbacks that I probably created for myself, and honestly the first few laps were pretty far off the pace, to find myself a few positions up is pretty decent progress. So I don't want to take too many risks as we go into the last lap here. Just want to keep it together, try and have a consistent time with what I was doing the previous few laps, and not take any risks that lead me to lock my brakes unfortunately, or maybe even go off the track like I did at the beginning of the race. None of that. Just try and carry as much speed, but not try and test the limit, especially during this lap, because even though I'm catching up with the guys in front, it's still I probably have more to lose in terms of opportunity, because I know some of the guys behind me are faster than me, especially the folks probably who crashed under yellows. So I don't know where they're at. They could be right behind me for all I know. So I just need to keep it together and make sure I finish this race out strong. Going through the last few corners, there's a couple things running in my mind. One, seeing if I can actually go faster during this lap. I'm up a couple tenths and I see some green, so I'm thinking, hey, maybe I found even more time than I thought I did. As you guys can see, this race was a lot of learning for me and a decent amount of improvement. I think I found at least 2 or 3 tenths during this session alone, which was great. And then 2, it's just decent result to be in P12 coming from P16, and it shows that I can actually race with the rest of the folks in the pack, which I'm pretty happy with. So more races to come. Thank you all for watching, and until next time.